Alright, what's going on, guys? Today's going to be another gun review. It's been a while since I made a video on this channel. Finally got a new camera and everything. Finally got some time to actually focus on airsoft and that kind of stuff. So expect a lot of content to be coming soon. More videos on the PTWs and the DTW, some gameplay footage, reviews on guns, tech builds, just all kinds of stuff is going to be coming here pretty soon. So today we're actually going to take a look at one of my newer guns. I just picked this up on Black Friday, actually, for one of the Black Friday specials at our local shops, and the gun itself is the ICS mx5 Pro. So if you guys haven't heard of this gun, this was kind of like ICS's MP5 line a few years ago. This isn't really anything new, but it has the 3-shot burst, as you can see. So before I jump into the actual features of the gun, I'm just going to talk a little bit about externals, because I have done a little bit of work to this gun externally. And so we'll go ahead and start from the back. So this is a stock that does come on the gun. I think it's a 3-position retractable stock. So right now you've seen it in its fully extended setting. Then there's like a mid setting, and then you can collapse it all the way in, and it actually locks into place very well, and it has a really smooth slide, very sturdy and durable. It's not wobbly. It doesn't feel really loose or anything like that. It's made out of a very strong polymer, not really cheap brittle plastic that you see on some JGEs. Feels very good and strong. So moving forward, you know, you have your typical MP5 stuff. You know, I'm not really going to talk too much about the things that are typically on MP5s. Most of you guys know that the handguard, or the lower receiver, is plastic. The upper is metal. You know, this is pretty good plastic. You know, again, it's not very cheap stuff. So moving forward here, you know, you have one thing that really stuck out to me when I got this gun is the trademarks. It says caliber 9mm. And they're actually engraved in there pretty well. It's not just cheap paint that they throw on there like you'll see on Echo 1s. So just right away when you look at this gun, you notice that it's really good quality. They focus on the details. It's kind of what you would expect from ICS. So moving forward, the charging handle functions as you would assume. It reveals the hop-up chamber right here for adjustments. This is non-blowback, in case you guys didn't know. And that's about it for the main things. Now, moving forward, this rail system that's on here, this is actually a Knights Armament real steel H&K rail system. So this thing's pretty pricey. And the reason that I put it on here was just to kind of show you guys how close spec ICS is with the real steel MP5. Like I said, this is a real steel H&K MP5 rail system, and it fits right on here. It's very sturdy and durable. It's not wobbly or anything like that, and it bolted right up. I had it on here within a couple of minutes. So if you're going to use any kind of real steel parts, expect them to fit. That's not generally the case with airsoft guns, but being that ICS is nearly 1-to-1 scale with the real steel, a lot of those accessories will work. So the gun is wired to the front. When you get this model, you're going to get a very bulky handguard. It does have rails on it. However, it is not the prettiest thing in the world. It's very bulky and ugly. It can hold the battery, but for me, it was nicer to just take it off, put a rail system on, and run a PEC box. As you can see, here's my Dean's connector here. So when I'm using this gun, I just have the small LiPo PEC box ran to the side of the gun. And that is going to lead us into the internals of the gun. I do run a LiPo in here, although they say to run a 9.6. I run a LiPo on all my guns, so that wasn't going to change with this gun. So with that being said, if you guys didn't know, this has a pre-installed MOSFET into it. That's how they control the 3-shot burst. Again, this is ICS's split gearbox as well. So a lot of the features that you see on this gun are similar to what you'll see on the Sistema MP5, which, as you guys know, I'm a big fan of PTW. So this was really intriguing to me to have a platform that's so similar to the MP5, but accepts standard mags, standard, version 2 parts, and so it's nice to have something with system features, but being able to stick with your general version 2 parts. So I'm going to show you guys right now how easy it is to take this gun down. So one pin will remove the stock, and when you remove the stock, the spring that's attached to the hop-up will actually push the upper gearbox out and reveal the split gearbox. As you can see here, the upper part of the gearbox will slide right out. You just have to kind of wiggle the tappet plate out of your way a little bit, and then once you do that, you can kind of slide it out. You just got to be careful. You don't want to just rip this thing out because the tappet plate will break. There you go. So there it is. And what you'll notice is that this is actually ICS's M4 upper gearbox assembly. It just has the MP5 attachment on the back. So let's say you're using this gun for a couple of years and the front of the gearbox shell cracks and you're sitting here with a broken gearbox. You can buy ICS's M4 model, take this piece on the back off of this one, screw it onto that one, and you're good to go. This also makes for very easy gearbox repairs because if you're going to change your spring, you don't have to worry about dealing with the gears or anything like that. We all know how much of a pain in the ass it is to take a gearbox apart and wiggle the anti-reverse latch around just to get it back together just for a spring, and what's so nice about ICS is that you don't have to worry about that. So if you do want to do lower gearbox repairs, again, it's all in the lower half, so you don't have to worry about the spring and the piston and all the compression and everything. You can just worry about the gears, and that's what I like the most, is just easy repairs. So I'll kind of bring this closer so you guys can see the MOSFET that's inside. Not sure if you'll be able to see it or not, but it's right in there. You can see the chip, which is the electronic trigger. And again, that makes for very quick and very responsive trigger response, as well as controlling the 3-shot burst. So some very nice features right out of the box from ICS, and so far it has been very reliable for me. I haven't had any issues with it. It's going to be a little bit of a process for you to tune, and I'm going to get into that in just a second once I get this stock put back on here. We'll talk about the voltage sensor and whatnot. So there you go. You can see it's very easy to work on. If you got any kind of hop-up assembly adjustments, or you say you're repairing a bucking, you can see how easy it is to get it out. So more onto the voltage sensor. So right underneath the trigger, you're not going to be able to see it on the camera, but there's a small hole. And inside that small hole, there's a little dial adjustment knob. And what that knob is the voltage sensor. So this gun is pretty much tuned right out of the box for you to use a 9.6 battery. And that's what's going to, the voltage sensor will control how many rounds the 3-shot burst is actually firing, and then also it controls the semi-automatic as well. So let's say you get out of the box, you throw an 11-1 on it, and your semi is shooting 2 shots, and your 3-shot burst is shooting 5 or 6 shots. That was the case for me on burst. It was like 5 or 6 round burst. So what you got to do, just play with that setting, and now I have it perfectly tuned with an 11-1. I think it's a 20C battery, and it shoots great. 3-shot burst works just how it should, and the semi-automatic is very quick and snappy. There's no overspin at all, and it works very good. So one more feature that you get with the ICS is that when you put the gun into safety, it will actually release the spring tension and reset the piston back to 0. So then that way you're not leaving any compression on the spring and putting, wear on the spring, the piston, or the gears. Everything's zeroed, so it's not locked up inside there. Other than that, that's about it for the gearbox. And then parts are very readily available for ICS because it's a pretty old company and they're well established. So if anything happens to break, you can get on eVike and find things pretty quickly. So I think that's about it. The gun will come with one high cap magazine. Myself, I'm a fan of mid caps, so here I have a full metal GMP mid cap, and you can see it fits in there very nicely. Has literally no wobble at all. I believe it even fits in there a lot better than the stock magazine does. So the stock magazine has the slightest little bit of wobble, nothing crazy or anything, but the GMP is a very, very sturdy, solid fit. Right out of the box, the gun was shooting about 380 to 390 FPS. So if you're looking at getting this gun for CQB, it's going to be a little hot out of the box. But again, I've shown you that it's super easy to change the spring out and lower that down. And one more thing I forgot to mention about the externals is that this flash hider here does not come with the gun. Underneath this flash hider will be a 3-prong ICS proprietary tip. It has no threads on it, so the only flash hider that will fit on here is the ICS Navy styled flash hider. I tried to buy an Echo 1 flash hider, it didn't fit. You have to get the ICS, or you have to take that orange tip piece out and replace it with another brand if you want to use a different type of flash hider. But for me, I just bought the ICS Navy flash hider and put that on there, and that's how I'm currently using it now. So other than that, I think that's about it. Internally, pretty much covered everything. The motor it comes with is the ICS 3000 Turbo 3000 motor. It's a very good motor, has pretty good rate of fire. If I were to compare it to other motors on the market, stock motors anyways, I would say that it really reminds me of the KWA high torque motor, the guns that they use in all their 2GX setups. I think it's on par with the RPMs that motor puts out. I went ahead and changed it over to a Magnum motor just to get a little bit better trigger response. And one thing I do want to note is that this motor is actually held in a little bit differently than your traditional MP5s that just kind of floats inside the handguard here, or the pistol grip. This one kind of has a housing in it, similar to an AK version 3 gearbox. And this really keeps the motor steady inside the grip, so then that way it's not clicking around in there and knocking your motor plugs loose. It stays very, very still because it's mounted and bolted in so that your motor plugs aren't going to be coming off, and the motor is not going to lose adjustment very easily either. So that was kind of a nice feature that ICS provided. And yeah, so all in all, I really, really like this gun. The original price was about $330, and I was able to get it for $260. So extremely, extremely good deal on this gun. I've already shot it, tested the accuracy and everything like that. So stay tuned for the next video where I'm going to be doing a shooting test of the gun and also an accuracy and range test so that you can see exactly how this thing puts BBs down range. And then that will ultimately let you decide whether or not you want to buy this gun. So that's all for now. If you guys have any other questions, just shoot me a PM or comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Like I said, I got a new camera and everything now, so the content is going to be a lot more than what it was in the past. So that's all for now, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.